There comes a time in every person's life when they sit in the stillness of their own pain, wrestling with the weight of betrayal, injustice, and silent suffering. You've been wronged. You've been dismissed. You've given your heart, your time, your loyalty, only to be repaid with cruelty. And the worst part, the world moves on as if nothing happened. The ones who hurt you walk freely, unburdened, while you carry the weight of wounds they inflicted. But listen to me, that silence you feel, that unbearable loneliness, that sense that no one sees your suffering, you're wrong. Someone does. God sees it all. You may think that your cries have gone unheard, that the tears you shed in the dark have evaporated into nothingness. But justice doesn't work that way. The world may be blind, but the divine is not. There is a force greater than yourself that records every act of cruelty, every lie spoken, every manipulation designed to break you. The universe does not overlook injustice. It measures it, it accounts for it, and in due time, it answers it. Now, this is where many people make a mistake. They look around waiting for an immediate reckoning. They expect fire from the heavens, an earth-shaking consequence that exposes the ones who harmed them overnight. But that is not how justice unfolds. It is slower, more precise. Like a seed planted in darkness, it grows beneath the surface before bursting into the light. There are those who believe they've escaped judgment simply because they have not yet faced consequences. They mock your suffering, convinced that they've won, that their cruelty will go unpunished. But what they fail to understand is that the wheels of justice turn at their own pace, quiet, unrelenting, inevitable. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone rise through deceit and manipulation only to crumble under the weight of their own actions? Have you watched as those who built their lives on lies found themselves tangled in their own web? That's not coincidence. That is justice unfolding in its perfect time. And what are you to do in the meantime? How do you move forward when it feels like those who hurt you continue to thrive? You wait, you trust, you understand that justice belongs to forces far greater than yourself. But most importantly, you do not let their actions define you. Because here's the truth. The ones who hurt you are already facing consequences, whether you see them or not. The weight of their choices follows them like a shadow, creeping into their quiet moments, seeping into their relationships, poisoning their success. No one escapes the law of cause and effect. No one outruns their own conscience forever. So instead of wasting energy on revenge, you must redirect it toward something greater, toward healing, toward growth, toward becoming the kind of person who rises above their past rather than being consumed by it. You are not a victim. You are a witness to a process far greater than you. And soon you will see what happens when those who wronged you are forced to face the consequences of their own actions. Now, here's what you must understand. There's a strange illusion in this world, one that convinces people that they can do as they please, hurt who they want, betray without consequence, and somehow escape untouched. You've seen it yourself. The ones who lied to you, who manipulated you, who used you for their own gain, they walk freely as if nothing ever happened. They smile, they succeed, they carry on with their lives as if the weight of their actions will never catch up to them. And you sit with the damage they caused, wondering if justice will ever come. But hear me when I say this. No one escapes justice forever. The mistake most people make is assuming that justice is instant. They expect a reaction, a punishment, something visible and immediate, and when they don't see it, they assume that the guilty have truly escaped. That's the first mistake. Justice does not always arrive with fanfare. It does not always announce itself in grand, dramatic ways. More often than not, it moves in silence, creeping into a person's life like a slow, inevitable tide. Look at history. Look at the patterns of life. Have you ever seen a person build their life on lies, on cruelty, on the destruction of others, and truly thrive in the end? They may rise for a while, They may celebrate, thinking they have won, but there is an unshakable truth woven into the very fabric of existence. What you put into the world will return to you. It's like planting a seed. A farmer does not sow poison in his fields and expect a harvest of gold. What is buried in the soil will determine what grows. And if someone has spent their life planting deception, manipulation, and harm, then whether it takes months or years, the harvest will come. This is why the silence of justice is so terrifying. The ones who hurt you believe they are safe. They believe that time has buried their wrongs, that they have outrun the consequences of their actions. But what they do not realize is that they are walking blindly toward their own reckoning, because justice does not forget. You may not see it. You may never be present when the moment comes, but trust me, it will come. It may arrive in the form of an unexpected downfall. It may manifest in their personal lives, fractured relationships, internal turmoil, the erosion of their own peace. It may be a slow, gradual decline that leaves them wondering why nothing ever truly satisfies them, why their victories feel hollow, why they always seem to be running from something they can't escape. That is justice at work. And here's the critical part. Your focus should not be on watching them fall. That's where many people go wrong. They sit waiting, obsessing over when and how their enemies will face consequences, but that is wasted energy. Your job is not to be the judge, the executioner, or the one who delivers the punishment. Your job is to move forward, to heal, to trust that justice is moving even when you cannot see it. Because when you understand that no one escapes justice forever, you free yourself from the need for revenge. You don't have to seek it. You don't have to waste your days wondering when it will come. It is already in motion. The ones who hurt you are already living under the weight of their own choices, whether they show it or not. So let them think they have won. Let them believe they are untouchable, because when the time comes, they will learn the hard way that no one, absolutely no one, escapes justice forever. Guilt is a strange thing. Unlike visible consequences, unlike punishments that can be measured or seen, guilt operates in the shadows. It does not announce itself. It does not make a sound, but it is there, ever present, creeping into the quiet moments when the mind is unguarded. You've seen them, the people who wronged you, who betrayed your trust, who walked away without a shred of remorse. To the outside world, they seem fine. They smile, they move on, they live their lives as if nothing ever happened. But what you don't see is the silence that follows them when the noise dies down. Because the truth is this: no one escapes their own conscience forever. At first, they convince themselves that they did nothing wrong. They justify their actions, twisting the truth until they believe it themselves. They drown out the voices of regret with distractions, work, relationships, entertainment, anything to keep their mind occupied. But deep down, there is a part of them that knows, and that knowledge is a slow, consuming fire. You need to understand something about human nature. Guilt is inescapable for those who have a conscience. Even if they try to ignore it, they may suppress it, they may laugh in public, but guilt is not something you can run from. It follows like a shadow, like a weight that grows heavier with time. It begins in small moments: a restless night, a fleeting memory, a sudden pang of regret that comes out of nowhere. At first, they push it aside, but guilt is persistent. It finds ways to surface, seeping into their dreams, whispering in the quiet, showing up in ways they never expected. And this is what they don't realize. Guilt does not fade with time. It intensifies. It starts as a small discomfort, something easily ignored, but over time it begins to fester. The mind replays the past over and over until the weight of it becomes unbearable. They may try to suppress it, but the human psyche is not designed to live in peace with wrongdoing. The things they did to you, they don't just disappear. They leave a mark, not just on you, but on them. Because here's the secret they won't admit. They know what they did. They can pretend all they want. They can convince the world that they have no regrets. But in the moments when they are alone, when there is no one left to perform for, when there is nothing left to distract them, that's when it haunts them. They will try to drown it out. They will try to justify it. But there will come a day when they wake up and realize that all their success, all their distractions, all their attempts to move forward, none of it has freed them from the one thing they cannot escape, the truth of what they did. And the worst part, the world moves on. See, justice does not always come in the form of a dramatic downfall. Sometimes the worst punishment is being forced to live with oneself. Imagine carrying the weight of knowing you destroyed something good, that you inflicted pain on someone who only wanted the best for you. Imagine watching that person move forward while you remain stuck in the mess you created. They may not admit it. They may never say the words out loud, but make no mistake, they feel it. That's why you see people who seem to have everything, yet they are never at peace. They are restless, never truly satisfied. No amount of success, no amount of distraction, no amount of pleasure can erase the past. And here's the reality. The weight of guilt will either destroy them or it will force them to change. Some will try to suppress it until it consumes them. Others will eventually break under the weight of their own actions and seek redemption. But one thing is certain, guilt is its own form of justice. You may not see their suffering, you may never hear them confess, but the punishment is already in motion. The weight of guilt is a prison, and once it takes hold, there is no escape. There is an unshakable truth woven into the fabric of existence. You cannot plant destruction and expect to harvest peace. You cannot spread pain and expect joy in return. You cannot build a life on deceit and betrayal and expect it to remain standing. The universe does not operate that way. There is a balance, a law that governs all things, and no one, no matter how powerful or untouchable they believe themselves to be, can escape it. You've seen it. Someone takes advantage of others, manipulates, deceives, and walks away believing they have won. And for a while it may seem like they have. They appear happy. They continue as if nothing ever happened. But what they don't realize is that the seeds they have planted are taking root, and what they have sown, they will reap. This is not superstition. It is cause and effect. It is reality. Imagine a farmer who goes out into his field and plants nothing but thorns and weeds. He walks away convinced that when the time comes, he will reap a harvest of golden wheat. But what happens when the season changes? What happens when the time for reaping arrives? The field does not forget what was planted. It will return to him exactly what he sowed. Pain for pain, betrayal for betrayal, destruction for destruction. This is how justice operates. It is not always immediate, it is not always visible, but it is always certain. The ones who hurt you may have convinced themselves that their actions had no consequences, but that is only because they have not yet faced the harvest of what they planted. Some people go years without facing the full weight of their choices. They build their lives on the pain of others, thinking they have outsmarted the system. But life does not forget. What you put into the world comes back to you. It may come in the form of broken relationships. It may come in the form of personal turmoil, failed dreams, an unshakable emptiness that no amount of success can fill. Sometimes it comes in ways they never expected, an inability to trust, a deep-seated insecurity, a constant sense of paranoia, the creeping realization that they are surrounded by people just like themselves. Because here's the truth, you attract what you are. A person who deceives will be deceived. A person who betrays will be betrayed. A person who uses others will one day realize that they too have been used. This is why you must not envy those who prosper through wrongdoing. They are only walking toward the consequences of their own actions. You might wonder, why does it take so long? Why does it seem like those who cause the most harm are the ones who rise the fastest? Because justice is not a human invention. It does not operate on your timeline. It is like gravity. It pulls everything into balance when the time is right. And when that moment comes, no one escapes. The most terrifying part of this law is that it often works silently. The ones who hurt you may not realize that their downfall has already begun, but it has. Their choices have set something in motion that cannot be undone. The very same things they inflicted on you will return to them in ways they cannot control. They may not understand it at first. They will blame others, curse their circumstances, try to manipulate their way out of the inevitable, but eventually they will come to understand the truth. They are simply reaping what they have sown. And here's where your focus must shift. You are not responsible for their harvest. Your energy must not be spent waiting for their downfall, watching for signs of their suffering. Your task is to ensure that what you sow is worthy of what you wish to reap. Because the same law that holds them accountable holds you as well. You cannot allow their actions to turn you bitter. You cannot allow their cruelty to corrupt your heart. If you do, you will plant the same seeds of destruction that brought them to ruin. So instead of waiting for justice, focus on your own harvest. Plant patience, plant wisdom, plant resilience, plant faith, and when your season comes, you will reap something far greater than revenge. You will reap peace. One of the greatest deceptions in life is the belief that just because something hasn't happened yet, it never will. This is where frustration sets in. You've been wronged, betrayed, discarded, like you never mattered. You watch the ones who hurt you continue their lives without consequence, as if their actions were erased the moment they turned their backs on you. And a question begins to gnaw at you. Where is justice? When will they pay for what they've done? But here's what you need to understand. Delay is not denial. Just because you don't see justice unfolding in real time does not mean it isn't happening. There is a reason karma doesn't strike instantly. Justice is precise. It is not reckless, nor is it random. It moves with intention, ensuring that when the consequences come, they come in a way that cannot be avoided, manipulated, or undone. Think about the world around you. A tree does not grow the moment a seed is planted. The harvest does not appear the day the farmer lays the first grain in the soil. There is an incubation period, a time of unseen growth beneath the surface. What looks like stillness is in reality a process unfolding in perfect order. The same applies to justice. Many people assume that because they do not see an immediate downfall, it means the ones who wronged them have escaped. But they haven't. They are simply in the stage where everything appears untouched, the calm before the storm. This is the mistake of the arrogant. They believe that because punishment does not arrive at their doorstep the moment they commit the wrong, they are free. They mistake God's patience for indifference. They believe they have outsmarted consequences, as if life does not keep a record of every deception, every betrayal, every ounce of suffering they inflicted on others. But let me tell you something. The most dangerous form of justice is the one that takes its time. Because when consequences are delayed, people let their guard down. They assume they've won. They grow comfortable in their wrongdoing. And that is exactly when life catches up to them. The reckoning, when it comes, does not arrive as a single moment of regret. No, it comes as an avalanche. They may be thriving now, but one day they will look around and realize that the foundation they built their lives on is crumbling. The very things they held on to, status, relationships, success, will begin to slip from their grasp. And no matter how desperately they try to hold on, they will not be able to stop it. It happens all the time. Look at history. Look at people you once knew. How many times have you seen someone climb to the top through dishonesty and manipulation, only to fall harder than anyone expected? It wasn't instant. It took time. but when it happened, there was no escaping it. Now, the question is, what do you do while you wait? Because waiting can be frustrating. You want to see it happen. You want to witness the moment justice is served. But that is not your role. Your job is to move forward, to heal, to rise beyond the pain they left you with. If you sit around waiting for their downfall, you are still trapped by them. You are still letting them control your thoughts, your emotions, your peace. But the moment you release the need to see their punishment, you free yourself. Justice is not dependent on your timeline. It does not need your permission to unfold. It is already in motion, operating beyond what you can see. And when the time comes, there will be no mercy for those who thought they could escape it. So, do not be deceived by the silence. Do not mistake delay for absence. Justice is coming, and when it arrives, it will be undeniable. There is something deeply unsettling about being hurt by someone you once trusted. Betrayal is not just an action, it is a wound, a scar that lingers in the mind long after the moment has passed. The worst part? Seeing them move on like nothing happened, as if your pain never existed. They seem unaffected, untouched, even thriving, while you are left carrying the weight of what they did. And it makes you wonder, do they even care? Will they ever pay for this? But listen to me carefully. Your healing is their loss. You see, people who hurt others thrive on power. It is never just about what they did. It is about what they took from you. They took your peace. They took your trust. They took your belief that people are good. That was their victory. Seeing you broken, seeing you question yourself, seeing you struggle to find your footing after they walked away. They never expected you to rise. They never expected you to heal. In fact, they counted on you staying stuck. Because as long as you're hurting, they still have a hold on you. As long as you replay the pain, they still control your emotions. As long as you stay in a state of anger, resentment, and regret, they win. But here's what they don't realize. Healing is the greatest form of justice. When you heal, you take back everything they thought they destroyed. When you move forward, you remove their power. And nothing is more devastating to those who enjoy seeing others suffer than realizing they no longer have control. Think about it. Why do toxic people return when you start to move on? Why do they suddenly reappear when you've begun to find happiness again? Because deep down, they know. They know that the real consequence of their actions isn't just in what happens to them. It's in what no longer happens to you. The truth is, they expected their absence to break you. They thought their betrayal would define you. But when they see you standing tall, when they hear about your growth, when they realize that what they did no longer has power over you, that is when they begin to feel the loss. And make no mistake, they will feel the loss. You might think they don't care, but they do. People with cruel hearts are fueled by the suffering they cause. When that suffering disappears, when their actions no longer haunt you, they are left with nothing. The attention they once received from you, the reaction they fed off, the chaos they created, all of it vanishes. And that emptiness, that is their punishment. Because the universe works in balance. The pain they inflicted will return to them in ways they never expected. They may not show it, they may not admit it, but deep down they will come to realize that they have lost something valuable. The version of you who once cared. And you walk away free. This is why healing is not just about you. It is about reclaiming your life. It is about ensuring that those who tried to break you do not get to write the rest of your story. They may have played a role in your past, but they do not deserve to dictate your future. So when you find yourself waiting for justice, remember this: your healing is their loss. Not because you sought revenge, not because you hurt them back, but because you refuse to let their actions define you. They will come to regret what they did. And when they do, you won't need to say a word, because nothing speaks louder than the silence of someone who has moved on. There is a belief that people can do whatever they want, cause as much harm as they please, and somehow escape the consequences. They convince themselves that they are untouchable, that time will erase their wrongdoing, and that life will never hold them accountable. But that is where they are wrong, because God's justice is not blind. It is precise, it is unforgiving, and it does not miss its mark. See, humans are impatient. We expect instant results, immediate punishment. When we don't see it, we assume justice has failed. We start to believe that those who deceived us, who betrayed us, who walked away without remorse have won. But what we forget is this: God's justice does not operate on human timing. It does not need to announce itself. It does not require permission. It moves silently, working beneath the surface, preparing its strike at the perfect moment. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to escape consequences for years? Why they continue living their lives as if nothing ever happened? It is because God allows just enough time for them to believe they are safe. He lets them build, lets them climb, lets them grow comfortable in their illusion of victory. And then, when they least expect it, justice arrives. Not in the way they anticipated, not always in the ways we would have chosen, but in a manner so precise, so undeniable, that even they will recognize that they are facing the weight of their own actions. This is why you must never mistake God's patience for his absence. When someone wrongs you, you want to see them pay for it. You want to witness their downfall, but that is not how divine justice works. It does not rush. It builds, like a storm gathering strength in the distance, like an earthquake forming beneath the ground. It is silent until the moment it is unleashed, and when it comes, there is no escape. Look at history, look at life. Have you ever seen someone who lived without integrity, who built their success on the pain of others, who manipulated and destroyed without consequence, truly thrive in the end? No, because the weight of their choices eventually catches up to them. Maybe it starts as an unease, a discomfort they cannot shake. Maybe they lose the very things they valued most: relationships, trust, peace of mind. Maybe their empire collapses beneath them, brick by brick, until they are left standing in the ruins of their own deception. And when that moment comes, they will have nowhere to run. Because here's what they don't understand. When God delivers justice, it is not something you can negotiate. It does not arrive with mercy. It does not offer escape routes. It is swift, calculated, and absolute. You might wonder, why does God wait? Why allow them to continue for so long? Because he lets them walk into their own destruction. You see, if punishment came immediately, they would find ways to justify it. They would call it bad luck, an accident, an unfortunate coincidence. But when God's justice arrives at the perfect time, in the perfect way, there is no denying its source. It will come in a form that leaves them no room to argue. It will be personal. It will be exact. And here's what makes divine justice even more terrifying. It is tailored to the individual. Some will lose everything they thought mattered. Some will be left in a cycle of failure they can never escape. Others will suffer in ways only they will understand, because God knows exactly where to strike. He knows their weaknesses, their fears, their hidden struggles. He does not need to punish them publicly. He does not need to expose them for the world to see, because sometimes the worst punishment is the one that happens behind closed doors. The torment they cannot share, the emptiness they cannot explain, the realization that no matter how much they try to move forward, they are trapped in the consequences of their own actions. And they will know. They may never admit it. They may never say the words out loud, but in their hearts, in the depths of their soul, they will recognize that they are facing exactly what they deserve. So do not waste your energy seeking revenge. Do not sit around waiting for their downfall. God's justice is already in motion. It may not look like what you expected, but it is coming, and when it arrives, it will be undeniable. Pain is a force unlike any other. It is raw, relentless, and consuming. It strips away everything you thought you knew about yourself, leaving you exposed, vulnerable, and questioning everything. When someone you trusted betrays you, when someone you love chooses to hurt you, the pain isn't just in the action. It's in the realization that you were never as safe as you thought, that your kindness, your loyalty, your belief in them meant nothing in the end. And that realization, that is what changes people. It can harden you, it can break you, or it can transform you. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Your pain is not your enemy. It is your tool. Every great transformation in human history has come through suffering. No person who has ever achieved anything truly meaningful has done so without first walking through the fire. Pain is a refining force, stripping away illusions, forcing you to confront yourself, to redefine who you are. The betrayal, the disappointment, the loss, it does not come to destroy you. It comes to forge you. You may not see it now. You may still be in the stage where it feels unbearable, where every day is a battle to get through. But let me ask you, what if this pain is not here to break you, but to awaken something within you? Because the truth is, there is a version of you that only pain can reveal. Think about it. The strongest, most resilient people you know, did they become that way through ease? Did they rise to greatness through comfort? No. They were tested, they were betrayed, they suffered, and it was in that suffering that they found their strength. Pain is a teacher, a brutal one, yes, but an honest one. It does not lie to you. It does not flatter you. It shows you the truth about yourself, about others, about the world. And once you have seen that truth, you can never go back to who you were before. That is the power of suffering. But here's the key. You must decide what to do with it, because pain itself does not guarantee growth. It can either make you or destroy you. It can turn you bitter, make you cynical, convince you that the world is cruel, and that you must shut yourself off to survive, or it can make you unstoppable. And that choice, that is where your power lies. The ones who hurt you do not want you to find your strength. Their power was in making you feel weak. Their victory was in convincing you that you were small, that you were helpless, that you needed them to be whole. But the moment you recognize that your pain is your tool and not your prison, you take everything away from them, because the greatest revenge is not in proving them wrong. It is in proving yourself right. Look back at your life. The moments that changed you the most, the ones that forced you to grow, were they the easy ones? Or were they the ones that nearly broke you? This is why you must not run from your suffering. Face it. Learn from it. Let it sharpen you. Let it shape you. Because the ones who walk through the fire and come out the other side, they are the ones who cannot be broken again. And make no mistake, this is what scares the people who hurt you the most. They did not expect you to survive this. They did not expect you to rise from it. But the greatest mistake they made was believing that pain was your weakness. Because in reality, it was the very thing that made you unstoppable. There comes a moment in life when you realize that justice does not require your intervention. That the pain you endured, the betrayal you suffered, and the heartbreak you carried were not meaningless. They were shaping you, refining you, preparing you for something greater. The ones who hurt you, they are already walking toward their own reckoning. No one escapes the consequences of their actions, not in the way they expect, not on the timeline you desire, but in a way that is precise, inescapable, and designed specifically for them. God sees your pain. He has not forgotten. The universe has recorded every wrong done to you, every deception, every cruelty, and in due time justice will be served. But your role in this is not to wait for their downfall. It is to rise above it. Your greatest victory is not in their suffering, but in your own transformation. Because the moment you choose healing over bitterness, growth over stagnation, and faith over revenge, you take back everything they tried to steal from you. They no longer control your mind, your heart, or your future. Their power ends the second you stop looking back and start walking forward. So let them believe they have won. Let them carry the weight of their own choices while you build a life that no betrayal can destroy. Justice is not yours to deliver, but freedom is yours to claim. And when the day comes that they face what they have sown, you won't need to witness it, because by then you will